Hello and welcome to Odds-on qualifiers for the Euro Matchday 6. The second video, we have to analyze the games we have on Monday and on Tuesday. And by request, Alvaro Romeo wants to do like Riquelme because he got another ACCA correct on Sunday. Was a good one. Danny Fisichella, on the other hand, Faroe Island. Danny is being invited to visit that country, but unfortunately they lost to Moldova. So they have a good
They should
picks,
sack the manager.
For this.
Should sack with all that quality they have. How can they lose to Moldova?
Teams playing European football, we will make you analyze, Danny, Faroe Island games in this European week that is coming, by the way, in the next 10 days. In the meantime, we still have European games before the clubs start to playing. So, guys, please like the video, subscribe to our channel. Hopefully this week we can reach the 20,000 subscribers. Your support means a lot, as we say. And of course, ask any question to Danny and to Alvaro. And now let's go on with the show. If you are looking for a bookmaker to sign up or a welcome bonus, we give you an exclusive offer with 1xbet of 130%. Use our promo code Oddspedia YouTube with the link in the description if you want to register. So let's go with the first game, Armenia Croatia. With Armenia, we analyzed them in the previous video and they got a huge result, a huge surprise in Turkey. They got a draw. And recently they beat Latvia, they beat Wales. So Armenian people are asking themselves why not surprising also against Croatia. Alvaro, but I guess this is going to be a bit more difficult. We saw Croatia thrashing Latvia with the usual suspects in the lineup, with Modric, with Brozovic, with Perisic, and it looks like a kind of safe bet if you go for Croatia to win, or is not that safe?
I think it is. I think I can back Croatia here. It's their first ever trip to Armenia, so there is nothing that we can grab from the past that we can use these days. But yeah, they beat Latvia with a 5-0 at home. A double from Petkovic, by the way, one of them a free kick. In the absence of another great free kick taker like Ivan Rakitic, who is no longer there, well, having Petkovic there scoring goals from the distance can be very useful for Croatia. Luka Modric played 61 minutes. I think that he was tired at the end. I don't know if you saw that chance he got pretty much before he got shoved by the Zlatko Dalic. Vlasic came on. Well, he volleyed the ball to the roof of the net over the crossbar after having done a great run himself. And I think that he was a little bit tired because the way he finished that action told me that maybe he didn't have anything in the engine. But he played 61 minutes and he did well in the game. Look, Croatia doesn't concede many goals, and I'm going to take this tip or this hint, let's put it that way, to the game against Armenia. They have conceded only one goal in 3 games. And what I like the most about the win against Latvia is the fact that they had a scoreline in accordance to their performance, because sometimes they don't. Sometimes they don't concede goals, but they don't score many. But this time they scored 5-3-0 by the halftime. Pasalic scored a lovely goal in the second half as well. And, this Croatia hasn't changed substantially in relation to the team that they were in 2022. They are still the 4th in passing accuracy, the 6th in possession, and they are scoring goals. When it comes to Armenia, look, I think that Turkey deserved better against Armenia. I really do. And their defensive high line could have costed them 2 or 3 goals from Turkey in the first half, but Turkey wasn't too accurate in front of the Armenian goalkeeper. I think that the Turks deserved the 3 points in that game. Even 1 point is not enough, in my opinion. But anyway, Armenia could consider themselves happy with the booty they got in Turkey. Armenia never qualified for a Euro as an independent country. They did it when they were part of the Soviet Union, but I think that this time they will try to put a fight until the end. But if Croatia wins this game, they are going to leave behind Armenia, which is their current rival for the second spot. So I think Croatia is going to take this game seriously. I'm going for an Asian handicap of minus 0.75 for Croatia. It pays 150. And the Asian handicap corners, I think Croatia is going to take more. They are going to dominate more. Asian handicap corners +2 for Croatia, 177.
Right now, we see Armenia and Croatia with 7 points, Turkey with 10, and Najib is warning us that Armenia is not an easy team. So be careful for betting on Croatia to win, Dani.
They are very attacking, Armenia. Actually, sometimes they're a little bit reckless. In the 96 minutes against Turkey, they left 3v3 at the back. Turkey almost scored from a ball launched by the goalkeeper. Then they had a corner and almost scored. So there were a lot of chances for Turkey, a lot of chances for Armenia. They play really, really open. And this group is the group of goals. Turkey, Croatia, and Armenia all scored 8 goals so far. They are all in the top 20 for number of shots taken in these qualifiers. And I think Armenia has contributed greatly to this. 6 of the last 7 games for Armenia have been both to score. Lost at home recently to Germany, Ukraine, Scotland, Turkey. Also lost to Norway 9-0 last year in a friendly. Well, since they changed the manager, since there is no longer Caparros at the helm and with Petrakov, they are more reckless, they are more open. Whether they enjoyed that or not, I don't know, but it's completely changed. But, if you look at the players, Bisharian and Dashan so far average more than 3 shots per game in the qualifiers, so they definitely go for it. And when it comes to Croatia, from an Italian point of view, I would love to be them. I would love my team to play like them in qualifiers. They are ruthless. They are clinical. They can take the chances. They take the games very, very seriously. And they are reliable. 5-0 against Latvia, as Alvaro said, of course. They got a lot of confidence. They are unbeaten in 6 since the World Cup semi-final against Argentina. If we don't take that into account, 17 games unbeaten for Croatia. Always remember the size of the country. You can compare it to Uruguay and compare it, of course, to the achievement they got. And I think it's fantastic what they do. 12 qualifiers match unbeaten. So the last defeat was 1-0 to Slovenia in March 2021. I think they're going to grab hold of this group and win it. And they're going to win this game as well, probably with a high scoring line, because I think Armenia won't change the style of play. Croatia win for me, and over 2.5 goals in a bet builder, 263.
Well, Caparrós was the other day, by the way, in Sergio Ramos unveiling with Sevilla. For Works, this is both teams to score, but for Ricardo Simoes, this is Croatia to win without conceding. David is also thanking you guys for the tip on Albania to beat Poland that we saw this weekend. Well, on Monday, we have some other interesting games. For instance, the Portugal-Luxembourg that perhaps our friend Ricardo is following, but we are going to jump into the games we have on Tuesday with special attention to the Italy-Ukraine. Danny wants to be Croatian, but he's Italian, so he has to put his eyes on this game because it was a bad debut for Spalletti with a draw in North Macedonia, and they are risking again to qualify directly for the Euros. Remember that they have to play against England in English soil in the next international break. And right now, Italy, Danny, only with 4 points, Ukraine with 7. So this game in San Siro is key. What did you like about the new Spalletti team, or what did you don't like about this new team?
I like the fact that for 60 minutes, Italian players tried to play as the manager asked them to, try to move the ball well. By the way, the pitch in Skopje was shocking, and also the North Macedonians admitted to that, but it cannot be used as an excuse or a full excuse. So they tried. They created good chances in the first half. They were a touch unlucky with the post hit by Tonali. They had a couple of good chances with Politano and with Cristante. So obviously there was at least the ideas were there, but they lacked conviction, they lacked belief, they lacked precision. And yes, they lacked a little bit of quality. But then after taking the lead in the second half, what I didn't like was the fact that they retracted. They almost left the initiative to North Macedonia. And the three midfielders, Barella, Tonali, and Cristante, they looked very leggy. After all, that was only the fourth official game for them this season. So it's obvious they are not 100% in condition. And I think that's where Spalletti made a mistake. He should have changed at least one of them much early and not wait for Macedonia to equalize. Macedonia could have only scored from a dead ball situation, but Italy were naive to leave them opportunities to gain free kicks, and in the end, I think Donnarumma is not perfect on that free kick from Bardi, and now there are question marks whether Italy should stick with him once they got Meret and, of course, Vicario waiting on the wings. This is basically a playoff for Italy. They need to get at least 4 points against Ukraine in this game, and the last game of the campaign is in Ukraine. Obviously, will be played in Poland if they want to qualify directly. 4 of the last 5 games for Italy have been both to score. Only 1 clean sheet in the last 7 games. That was against Malta. Lost 3 of the last 7 against Macedonia, who is a team ranked 60 places below in the FIFA ranking. They haven't won in the last 3. So obviously, there is a problem of belief. There is a problem of style of play. And we need something else up front, of course, because, Zaccagni and Politano haven't offered enough solutions. And I don't think Immobile needs a better partner. Unfortunately, Chiesa is injured. And when it comes to Ukraine, they are an extremely fit and organized side. That's why I am worried for this game. They don't need to win in San Siro. A draw will be perfect for them. I think they are one of the most difficult teams to play against at the moment because they are a little bit unpredictable. Ukrainian football has gone under the radar. We obviously haven't followed it much since the start of the conflict, but they show a great pride, great cohesion, team spirit. And, they done really, really well against England. They did everything they could possibly do. They left the ball to England, hit them on the break. Look at the goal Zinchenko scored. With 3 passes, they cut out the midfield of England. Then in the end, they defended. But I think that was the game plan for them, really. They are unbeaten in 4, drew 6 games in the World Cup qualifiers. I still remember how unlucky they were when they lost the playoff final against Wales when Hennessy made a few great saves. So they probably should have been in the World Cup. I think it's going to be cagey. It's going to be difficult. You might want to check the Asian handicap plus 1.25 for Ukraine. I'm going to go for under 1 goal in the first half, 187. If the game is still 0-0 after 60 minutes, you might want to check betting play for Ukraine to get a draw or a win, because I think they'll have more chances.
Well, Danny's confidence in Italy has dropped dramatically from a safe bet to be the North Macedonia to perhaps back somehow Ukraine. Alvaro, are you following this drop of confidence also on Italy?
A little bit, yeah. I don't think that this is my favorite game to bet, to be honest. There will be an element of pressure that I don't know how the Italian players are going to deal with, because if Ukraine gets a draw or a win, Italy are going to find it very difficult to qualify for the Euro. And qualifying for the Euro and qualifying for the World Cup is not the same thing. For the World Cup, there are 13 European representatives, 16 in the next World Cup. For the Euro, there are 24 European representatives. So it's easy to qualify for the Euro in comparison to qualifying for the World Cup. If Italy doesn't do this, it's going to be a major failure. And I don't think that Italy can take more failures like this. And the pressure is going to be massive. I think that Italy in the past could resort to some of the best players in the world they had in the team. I'm sorry, but I really don't think, despite Inter, Milan and Napoli reaching the semifinals of the last Champions League, I don't think that Italy has these elite players that can win. Milan, Inter and Napoli. I don't think that they have these elite players that can win games. Some Italian players, which are good, have been even overpriced this summer, like Tonali. This is just my opinion.
I agree with you.
And I think that they are overpriced because the Premier League overprices everybody. Don't forget. Just for that reason, not because Tonali is a bad player. But in the past, I knew that Del Piero, Totti, and I don't want to go into cliches. They could, in any moment, just make something special, score a free kick, whatever, take a great corner, and Vieri will score. I don't think that Italy has that now. I mean, it depends on a huge collective effort to win the games, a little bit what happens to Spain as well. And that collective effort is linked directly to the manager, and the manager has been there for 10 days. So I don't know how much of his style Spalletti can actually instill to the players in this short period. It's very difficult. And I think that the pressure is going to be a massive element in this game. Look, Italy hasn't had a great 2023. They lost to England, they lost to Spain. Not beating North Macedonia was an absolute shot in their own foot, despite Cristante and Tonali having chances before the first goal came. And when it comes to Ukraine, yes, they are vibrant. There is an element of chaos in them, but at the same time, they control very well the situations. They don't. They always stay in the game. For example, the other day in the goal, you could see that some players, which are fringe players, but they are still very good, like Konoplia, for example, in the overlap, did fantastically, just passing the ball to Zinchenko, one of the stars of the team, and only a moment of genius of Harry Kane actually dismantled the Ukraine defense. But otherwise, Ukraine, the great pass. I mean, Harry Kane is probably the striker who does this best. But generally speaking, Ukraine was very organized. So I'm going to go for an Asian handicap plus 1.5 for Ukraine, 155, not a lot of money. But I said before, this game is not for me. But if in every game that is not for me, if I go for a bet, I go for a substantial one. And it will be something that gives a lot of money. A double chance for Ukraine, 275.
I read that Mudryk had a bad game, actually, against England.
Picked up he worked really, Mudryk worked really hard. He didn't create much, but he was really stuck in and tried to stop Kyle Walker going forward. Not exactly a creative game. Actually, Mudryk picked up a muscular injury at the end. He might not play this one.
Well, most of our audience agree with you guys, going for Asian handicap for Ukraine or going for an under, not to see a lot of goals, under 2.5 goals for Blacks, or for Kalik, under 1.5 goals. Well, this is a lot of tension. There will be in the Giuseppe Meazza. They chose a big stadium to host this key game, Italy, Ukraine. And in Group I, we have Romania with options to qualify. We've chosen this Romania Kosovo because Romania, they have 9 points and Kosovo 4, but we saw a big surprise with Kosovo stealing points from Switzerland with Muriqi, a player that Alvaro knows really well, scoring a brace. And now Romania, they have the option to go to the Euros, but they are drawing and drawing. Alvaro, not sure if the draw, be careful here, it pays 14. Perhaps it's a good, no, 14, no, let me check
3.6.
again. Actually, 3.6.
Okay.
I was mistaken. If you want to go for a draw here, for another disappointment, again, Romania, not a single defeat, 2 victories and 3 draws.
I'm not a fan of draws. I prefer handicaps. I really do. Asian handicap plus 0.75 for Kosovo, 165. I like this one. I think that Kosovo can get something from this game. Both teams to score 205 is good, considering that the defenses are not particularly great. I think that Israel deserved better against Romania. In fact, Oscar Glock, the midfielder from Israel, hit the post, and he was about to win this game for Israel against the Romanian side. A Romanian side that, as I said in the previous show, they are about stealing the ball and hitting the counters if they can, but they are not about accuracy and about possession. In fact, in the previous show, I was saying that the Romanian passing accuracy was very poor in the overall stats of the Euro qualification, with a 73%. Now, after the game against Israel, the accuracy has gone down to 71. So that tells you a little bit what this Romanian side is about, with players who can actually be very good when it comes to being in the periphery of the box, like Stanciu. Stanciu, in fact, was the player who took the shot that got deflected by the goalkeeper, and then Alice scored the goal for Romania. Stanciu, I always rated that guy. And when it comes to Kosovo, look, they got a very good draw against Switzerland. Let's don't forget that in a game which is very special for footballers like Shaqiri or Granit Xhaka with Kosovarian or Albanian descent in their blood. But I take one little detail from that game. The fact that a player that Luis Enrique loves, Murici, scored 2 goals for Kosovo. If Murici is on the pitch, why not to back him to score? Murici to score 325 is really good money. Romanian defense is not particularly great. And, a player like Milot Rashica, he's on the pitch as well, the former Norwich City player, can provide good assists for Murici, so that connection shouldn't be overlooked. But my favorite bet here will be ace and handicap plus 0.75 for Kosovo, 165.
So it won't be easy for Romania. Murici, by the way, missing penalties this season, a couple of penalties with Mallorca. Dani, how do you see this one?
I watched Murici playing for Lazio, and I thought it was dreadful. But he came to Mallorca last season, 16 goals, only 2 scored for Lazio. But if you look at his record with the national team, he's amazing. 26 goals scored for Kosovo in 49 games. By the way, better average per game than Ciro Immobile. And that tells you a lot. But Kosovo, for me, one of the biggest surprises of these qualifiers, because they are a very attacking side. 10th for attempts on target, 4th for attacking actions. They go for it. They score in 8 of the last 9 games. Their reverse fixtures, they actually made it very hard for Romania. 0-0 draw. It won't be easy for Kosovo to qualify because they yet haven't won a single game. And I think the group is a bit tough, of course, with the likes of Israel and Switzerland. But Kosovo have improved a lot since the World Cup qualifiers when they finished bottom of the group. They got Rachmani, plays for Napoli, Voivoda, Torino, Zergova, plays for Lille. So there is quality in this Kosovan side. When it comes to Romania, I agree with Alvaro. They were a little bit lucky against Israel, I must say, because the goal also is a goalkeeper mistake. The goalkeeper spills it. Yeah. And then Moldovan, the goalkeeper from Romania, had to do a couple of saves. Only 1 defeat, though, for Romania in the last 9, so not too bad. They score in 9 of the last 10. At home, they're not great. 3 defeats in the last 7. They haven't qualified for a major tournament since 2016. This is probably their chance. If they finish second, they'll go automatically to the Euros. I think they're going to be goals here as well. Over 2.25 goals, 203, which means if there are only 2 goals in the game, you lose half a stake. More than 2 goals in the game, you win the stake.
Mm-hmm. In this group is kind of interesting. Switzerland, Andorra, for a fact that the Andorra's player Ildefonso Lima is retiring. And you might think, why is this important? Well, he's been playing for Andorra since 1997, 26 years. Defending the Andorra's t-shirt. Actually, is the 3rd player with more appearances in the Euro qualifiers. It will be his last game. Ildefonso Lima is a very nice story because he played against the best players in the world, even if he's playing for a national team like Andorra. Well, we expect Switzerland to qualify in this group. Let's move on to the next group, Norway, Georgia, and this is interesting because both teams are trying to steal the 2nd place from Spain. It will be tough. Probably these both teams will be out of the next Euros, but of course, Haaland want to be in a major tournament. Norway didn't play, and they thrashed Jordan without Haaland, actually, in a friendly game in the last days, whereas Georgia, we saw them being thrashed by Spain. Danny, here the bookies take for granted the Norwegian victory is only 1.3.
Yes, I think the book is probably right, but you have to consider that Norway have been a bit inconsistent. First of all, they conceded always in the last 7 competitive games, so not the friendly against Jordan, obviously. Won 5 of the last 9 at home. And they lost to Scotland 2-1 in June when they were in control and get unpicked by the Scottish counter-attack. Haaland didn't play that game, and he was also injured in the reverse fixture when they drew 1-1 against Georgia. Haaland obviously it's the main man. He scored 3 in the last 2 games for them. He's going to play this one. And now for Norway, there is the hope for them to be in the playoff, because even if they finish third in this group, behind Scotland and Spain, if Serbia finishes in the top 2 in his group, then they will go to the playoff because they finished just below Serbia in the Nations League group. So there is a little bit of a parachute. Things are not too bad for them. They don't attack particularly well, Norway. They are 31st for attempts, so they don't really produce a lot. But this obviously is a must-win game. Now, looking at the way Georgia played against Spain, and I'm sure Alvaro will have more about this, Norway could be confident that if they can run in behind that defense with the pace of Haaland, they will create chances. Morata ran in behind the defense of Georgia 4 or 5 times and create a lot of chances in the second half as well with the substitutes. I mean, they were with Williams, they were dominant. And Georgia made a mistake. They kept, well, many mistakes against Spain. They kept giving the ball away by playing for the back. Why didn't they play a little bit more direct? Why will they try to play a little bit more direct against Norway? If they don't have the quality, obviously they create their own problems. But, if Haaland gets fed by Odegaard in behind the line, I think they will create chances. Georgia only lost 2 of the last 14 against Scotland and Spain. Not too bad recently. They beat Sweden, Bulgaria, drew, of course, against Norway in the reverse fixtures. They won the Nations League group, Georgia, so they will be in the playoff 90%. I guess it's not impossible for them to qualify. Apart from Kvaratskhelia, they got plenty of players who play for good clubs in Europe, but this is going to be a tough ask unless they start defending a little bit more wisely. Over 2.5 goals, 192.
How bad were Georgia's defenders, Alvaro, to allow Morata to score a hat-trick? His first hat-trick, by the way, for Spain.
I don't think Morata is that bad, but anyway. Look, I mean, he's not obviously one of the best strikers in the world, but he's not a meme either, a walking meme either. Look, when it comes to Georgia, how to put it, I never take any conclusions from any side when they play against Spain, because Spain makes you look stupid, always. Unless you are very clinical in the 1 or 2 chances you're going to have. Spain is going to keep the possession. Your best players are not going to get the ball, and they will be running after the ball all the time. This is what Spain does to you, and they do it to the best sides in Europe and obviously to sides like Georgia. On top of that, yes, I agree with a couple of remarks that Daniele and Edu made before. Number 1, Georgia, at times, they had a high line that didn't make any sense against Spain. And number 2, not even in their own box, they were defending very well, because in the second half, as far as I can recall, the goals from Lamine Yamal, for example, or some others came from inside the box, crosses to the penalty spot, and there was no one defending that. So I think that Georgia has to forget about that game, but I always take with a little bit of precaution what happened against Spain, because Spain makes some teams look away. They are not. Basically, they completely blur you. They make you lose your identity, and this is a totally different game. I think that my eyes go very quickly to the individual markets here, because Erling Haaland is playing and he is having a good start of the season. Let's don't forget that before the international break, he scored a hat-trick in the second half of the game. We take that as granted, but that is not normal. That is insane. Haaland to score 173. I like this one. Obviously, wait, if you like, until the lineup is published to see if he starts or not, because you never know with Haaland. He's got sometimes muscular injuries. And my combination would be Haaland to score and Norway to win. Altogether, that pays 230. By the way, I think that the odds for Norway to win this game, they are a little bit low. I mean, Norway are not Spain at home. Norway are not England at home. Norway is Norway. And when it comes to Kvaratskhelia, just very quickly, I want to say something about this player, which I really like. But he has had 11 attempts off target, which is a record in the Euro qualifying, and he's the one who has had more shots blocked, 4 in the whole qualifiers. This is something that I saw already from the Champions League quarterfinals onwards last season, basically from spring onwards. It's like the opponents have gotten the hang of what he does, because sometimes he's a little bit predictable and there is still a great player in him, but maybe he has to start adding some unpredictability to his game, because I think that Kvaratskhelia is becoming a little bit predictable.
I agree.
Well, Norway 3-1 correct score. Both teams to score. Ray Charles is telling us Norway is handicap minus 1.5 for Corello, and Calendren was highlighting the same as you, Alvaro, that Norway and Spain to beat Georgia had the same odds, and for you this doesn't make sense. And we have another game to analyze. This one is an interesting one, actually. Sweden, Austria, really balanced odds, different from the ones that we've been analyzing in this show. This is Group F. Here, Belgium, they are topping the group with 10 points. They are playing at home against Estonia, and then Austria also with 10 points behind Sweden with 6. So basically, Sweden must win this game if they want to be in the Europes. We have a new Austrian, Ravnik. Well, he's been there for a while, but delivering so far, as I said, with these 10 points. Probably a draw is good for them. Sweden, the last thing we know about them, Alvaro, is that they thrashed Estonia, and we saw Kulusevski and Isak scoring, for instance, in that game.
Yeah. Among them, among the scorers, Alexander Isak just using this time his height and not his technique to score a goal against Estonia. Sweden has scored a decent amount of goals, 10 in this qualifier, but they keep a couple of master lines that are very Swedish. For example, only 10 teams have completed less passes than them. This is Sweden right now. Maybe in midfield they are not in favor of elaborating a lot, and then they want a more direct game, and I wouldn't say that it's paying dividends. They are still in the mix to qualify, but this game for them is decisive. If Sweden wants to have a chance, they have to win this time. They really have to win. This game is so important for them. And Austria is not a bad team. They beat Sweden 2-0 in the reverse fixture. They drew with Belgium away. They've got something which is very peculiar about them, and which is more, let's put it this way, more akin to the big sides. I mean, they've got a massive shooting accuracy that it's pretty amazing. I mean, 1 in every 2 attempts goes on target. They are the team with more shots on target as a consequence of this, 36, as many as Denmark. Of course, let's don't forget that Spain and Italy and Croatia have played less games because they were involved in the Nations League, but Austria has been very accurate when it came to taking their shots, very selective, but in a good way. And let's see how they do. I think that this game is massive for Sweden, and I'm going to go for an Asian handicap 0 for the Swedes, 170, because even the draw is not too bad for Austria. I mean, it's not bad at all for the Austrians.
No. Danny, you go for Sweden. They are favorites for this game.
Similar angle for me. I'll go for an Asian handicap 0 in the first half for Sweden, pays slightly more, 178. But yes, Sweden, some good moves in the goals against Estonia. They only lost 2 of the last 8, including, of course, the reverse fixtures. 1 defeat in the last 6 at home when they lost 3-0 to Belgium. They are a good side. Sometimes they are not very creative, as Alvaro explained very well. And when it comes to Austria, they are compact, they are solid, very good at hitting on the counter. I think Ralf Rangnick will give them a better structure. They are unbeaten in 5. Drew 1-1 against Moldova in a friendly, but we have to take these things with a pinch of salt. The Nations League wasn't great, but recently they picked up results against Italy, Belgium, Croatia, France. So I think they are raising the level again. With a win here, Austria qualifies pretty much mathematically. They don't score many goals, Austria. That's probably their Achilles heel. Only scored more than 2 goals in one of the last 13 games, and that was against Azerbaijan. They only won 1 of the last 6 away games, and that was 3-0 against the Croatian team in the Nations League, a big shock. So I think they could settle here for a draw. There is more at stake for Sweden. I'm going to go for an Asian handicap 0 in the first half for Sweden, 178. If the first half is a draw, you get your money.
Austria, they missed the previous World Cup and even the playoff, actually. They had a really bad qualification, even losing against Israel. Sweden, I remember, and I'm sure Alvaro does as well, how they were really a rock in the last Euros, even against Spain. So this is a massive game. Both teams to score for Blacks. Crazy game. Let's go for cards. Calendren is telling us. Well, this is all for the Euro qualifiers. For the international break, let's go for your safe bet. Danny, it's not Italy to win.
No, it's not Italy to win, as you would have imagined from my analysis. Iceland, Bosnia, X2. So Bosnia not to lose in Iceland 144.
Still, Danny likes the cold and goes for the games in Northern Europe. And Alvaro?
I like the Caucasus. Croatia to win in Armenia, 140.
Well, actually, it's not the Caucasus. It's the... they're playing in Armenia. You're right.
Yeah, they're playing.
And your ACCA, Alvaro?
Well, for my ACCA, I depend on the ruthlessness of Spain. Let's see if they are. It will be Spain-Cyprus over 1.5 goals in the second half. Spain-Cyprus over 3.25 goals. Croatia to win, Asian handicap corners minus 4.5 for Portugal. Altogether 5.37.
Well, I'm sure Danny has put his eye on Luxembourg. They are doing great in these qualifiers. And your ACCA, Danny?
There is no Luxembourg in this one, but I'm going to stick with Croatia to win. Croatia to win against Armenia. Belgium Asian handicap -2. They play at home against Estonia. Italy, Ukraine under 3.5 goals, and Spain to score in both halves against Cyprus at home, that 371 altogether.
Luxembourg, they got 10 points, so the same as Slovakia. They have a chance actually to qualify for the next Euros. 4 points more than Bosnia, be careful, or 7 points more than Iceland. Well, Danny, Alvaro, thank you for your analysis. Thanks everyone for watching. Corello, Blacks, Calendren, everyone, thanks for watching. And don't forget, of course, to press the like, to subscribe. And this week we have videos about the top 5 competitions in Europe. So stay tuned. Bye-bye.
Oh.